GTA back and shoulders and men neck wraps may be a little stiff after all that shoveling over the past 10 days around the GTA. And as this winter weather continues, it's important to protect yourself from unnecessary pain. Chiropractor Dr. Adam Solis is joining us live in the parking lot here at 9 Channel 9 this morning in Agent Court. Boy, we've both done some pretty good work so far, which may, give our backs a little bit of a problem, doctor. But in all seriousness, there's been a lot of snow, heavy snow particularly. What are you seeing in your clinic, and what are the main issues with people's backs and shoveling at this time of year?
So one big issue I'm finding is that a lot of people, because we're Canadians, don't take shoveling snow very seriously. With the past 2 storms, we've had to shovel hundreds, if not thousands of pounds of stuff off of our driveways. So you need to be taking regular breaks, but you also need to make sure you're using the right equipment.
I was going to say, we both have different shovels. What's the better one?
Well, ideally a snowblower. That'd be the best one. But if you don't have one of those, you need to make sure you're using the right shovel for the right job. Ideally, you'd want to actually push the snow whenever possible, rather than lifting, and that's what that's for.
So
you'll see that it's a wider.
Okay,
that's a push shovel. You want to try to push the snow to the side, but if you end up getting mounds like this and you need to lift the snow, that's when you want to use one of these. It's got a narrower head, it lifts less stuff, therefore it's putting less strain on your back.
What about just, we always hear, bend your knees when you're lifting, etc. But some people are like, oh, you get cold and stiff and suddenly you forget, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm just going to quickly do this. Right away you can cause a pain.
Feel
right?
that
you can feel it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people get really hung up on keeping a straight back when it comes to these things, and that's true to a degree, but our bodies are actually meant to move. So having a little bit of a bend isn't the end of the world. What I'd recommend is a combination of both bending at the knees as well as the low back, but trying to avoid heavily loading the end ranges of motion of bending forward and backward. Because typically that's when you're relying on other things like your ligaments and your joints to be doing the work for you, when rather your muscles should be doing that, at least for a regular person.
You're right, and in all seriousness, I mean, it's freezing outside right now. What about an actual warm-up before you shovel? I mean, you talk about stretching before sport. What about shoveling?
Of course. So number one, we want to warm up our upper back for any kind of rotational movements we'll be doing, as well as our lower back for obviously the bending forward and backwards. So what I like to do with that is, you have a shovel, ideally, you can put it behind your back, and with this you can rotate side to side.
It's like a golf club.
Exactly, very similar to a golf club. I think you had a chiro do that beforehand. What I like about doing this is you can use your forward hand to further pull yourself to the side when you go each way to get that little extra stretch in. That's one thing I like to do. The other is a hip hinge. Okay, so again with the shovel, we can place that behind our back. This might actually be a little bit tough with the jacket on. Perfect. We can place that behind our back like this, and from here we're going to be learning how to bend from our hips. You're going to try to push your butt back into that shovel while keeping a relatively straight spine with a little bit of a bend at the knees.
I can feel
That's how we can warm up the hips rather than becoming completely reliant on that low back.
Okay.
So there's 2 that we can do outside without having to get on the floor or the snow and all of that.
I really like your idea of the snowblower, particularly with like the mounds of snow, because the one thing is, on a regular average snowfall, you can just kind of throw it. But in some cases, I mean, obviously we're exaggerating. We didn't do this, just for the record. But there are snowbanks in front of a lot of driveways around the GTA, 6, 7, 8 feet high. So not only you get the snow down here, but then you're kind of like picking it up and trying to toss it on top.
Fling it over top, right?
That creates a whole other range of motion that perhaps people aren't used to using.
Of course. And if you're not used to doing that range of motion, then you load it. That's when you're looking at increasing your risk of injury.
So do you get a lot more calls at this time of year when you get snowfalls like this?
Absolutely. Anytime there's a heavy snowfall, I always expect several new patients and returning ones, just because they don't take it seriously like they should.
And I mean, look, I'm out here not in the right footwear at all, but that also helps. But if you've got proper sole, like boots, etc. I forgot to wear my boots this morning. That helps you get the right grip. Right? It's all about positioning and stance too.
Yeah, grip, absolutely. But another thing is, when you are shoveling, you don't necessarily know what's underneath. You might have a driveway that might be covered in ice. If you're wearing shoes like that, you're more likely to slip, hit your head, concussion. Complete different slew of injuries there too if you're not thinking it clearly. So definitely proper footwear is going to be a good pick for you as well. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, hey, Dr. Solis, appreciate this. Good to meet you.
Great
Thanks
to be
so much
on.
for keeping us straight here as we shovel. That's Wellness Wednesday for this week. We're back after this.